Ladies and gentlemen, live from Las Vegas. No, you don't want me to do that.
No.
Film Talk from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Las Vegas, Nevada, NAB 2018.
We just got done. It's a good feeling. Shin splints, sore.
Yep.
Saw a lot of stuff.
Yep. What was your favorite thing, or the thing that you feel like would actually make a difference to your shooting, post, or anything in between?
Let's back up a little bit.
Backing up.
We went into this with the goal of not leaving here feeling like, oh, there's this thing I have to have that thing, or I'm not gonna be a filmmaker anymore, or until I get that thing.
Right, that was the goal, not to walk away with that feeling.
Yeah, not to walk away with gear lust.
Yep.
And I feel like I did. The only thing I really liked, that Sigma 18 to 35 cinema lens, and it was already on my B&H wish list. I got to play with it, and I was like, yep, I was right. This is a good lens. I'm gonna get this someday.
And really about that, on that one, so there were a few things we were looking at. Of course, you want the long throw focus,
Yeah.
which is an obvious one, but also I think one thing that was kind of in the back of your mind is, okay, what are we doing? Is it parfocal? Is it breathe when you focus?
Yeah, and it stayed tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a wide one like that, you got it's just a really great design, it seems like.
Yeah, it's a good lens. I'm gonna get that, a few months down the road maybe.
Okay. What was my favorite thing?
Your favorite thing was missing the panel you were supposed to be on.
I didn't. Now, technically, I didn't entirely miss it.
No, you got
but thanks to your help, we did some cardio exercise and made it happen. I was only about 5 minutes late.
Yeah, I feel like that was a scene out of a movie. We're running. So, for all you out there, this is just story time right now.
Right.
So, it's 4 o'clock. We're here in the hotel room, and I look at my clock at my phone. I'm like, Curtis, it's 4. The aperture panel is now. And I think right before that you said, yeah, I think we should probably get going to aperture. I was like, no, dude, you need to be there now. Like, it's starting now.
Right.
We figured out that I was right. Rare, but I was.
Of course.
I was right. So we're struggling to scramble to get all our stuff. And if you've ever been through a Vegas hotel, they're designed so you get lost. Right. So you have to go through a maze to get out, and then we had to get to the monorail. And we were speed walking the whole way. And we're pretty tall guys. I'm the short one at 6'1". Curtis has got a pretty long stride. So we're speed walking through the hotel. By the time we get out the door, we're just sprinting. And we're running for the monorail. Curtis looks down and goes, I don't have my badge. And so I took mine off, like the valiant, courageous brother. I'm like, here, take it. It's like, no, brother. No, not really.
And then
I kept running.
And that wasn't the end of it. Then you started running the other way. You were already booking it the other direction. And I'm like, brother, do you have a room key? No.
Yeah, and then it was all like 240 frames slowed down to like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
I think we could have made a whole. If someone had just been filming, that would have been a short. That would have been Film Talk this week.
That would have been it. So for me, the most exciting thing, and this is very selfish, if I may be, for just a moment here. So for the longest time on the audio front for freelance audio work, I have been rocking Sennheiser G3s, kind of been my primary. I also have a couple Rode Link kits. It's really probably time for me to move up into big boy wireless.
Get your big boy pants
Get
on.
my big boy pants on. And so the one that we looked at that looked the most exciting or most promising, not terribly exciting. I mean, it's a wireless, but it's a very good wireless system. Was Sound Devices has recently acquired a company called Audio Limited from the UK. Audio Limited has been in business since the late 60s. They actually used their gear in 2001: A Space Odyssey. Yeah. So
Been doing it a while.
They've been doing it a while. They know what they're doing, but they have just a brand new system that came out just in January. And it has a lot of really, really solid features. The trick is now, for those that aren't intimately familiar with wireless audio, transmission actually works best if you do it in the UHF frequencies generally, and they're doing, it's kind of an interesting system. So it digitizes everything and sends it 2 millisecond latency, which is like industry standard, or industry leading, I should say. All the features look really good. It looks solid. So we're going to give those a try. We're going to see if we can get those in for review, and then that may be the one we buy into. Not sure. So
all I hear is nerd.
Yeah. We're done with nerd for now.
Okay, let's talk about like how every year now there's kind of the things that are trending.
Themes.
RGB lighting.
RGB lighting, big time.
What did you think of RGB lighting?
Well, for me, RGB lighting is interesting until we went to an event Monday night.
We went to Aperture's super secret dinner.
Yep.
It's an RGB light, and I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, of course they're doing an RGB light. That's a cool thing.
Uh-huh.
But here's what's crazy. It has the little, what's it called, a pointer or something?
Color picker.
Color picker. So they've got this little, it's like a laser pointer kind of, looks like it. You can point it at any light or any color, and it'll send a signal to the light to match that color. It was just a prototype, so they're probably not till maybe next year. What are those really expensive ones that are on a lot of sets? The Airy
Sky panels.
Sky panels. Just go to the set next door and match it. And then
We're gonna run over to Soundstage 1 real quick. We'll be right back. But what in another idea, again not implemented yet, but what I thought was a really cool idea is those they're actually these little boxes you can get to hook up to your lights to simulate firelight, fireplaces or campfires, and they're actually talking about implementing a thing where you could actually essentially program it to do that. Point it at a TV, get the flicker of the TV.
Yeah.
So that becomes really useful then. That's more than just a gag light at that point. That becomes like a really practical. So I could, if I have a bunch of other lights on set, I can just get a reading from each of them and then, set the RGB light to match those.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions, obviously, because it's just a prototype.
Right, because it's just a prototype. But that was like, because we'd seen a whole bunch of RGB lighting before that. And we're just like, cool, RGB lighting.
Right. Right.
Whatever. And yeah, that one was like, wow, that's a really cool effect light to have. And then it's also something really practical. You would have so many applications for anyone.
Yep. Okay, that was theme number 1. Theme number 2.
ProRes RAW.
Yep. ProRes RAW. So Apple announced ProRes RAW. So for those not familiar with it, what's the idea behind ProRes RAW? What are the benefits? A codec, by the way.
It's a codec. Well, ProRes, it runs really efficiently on a Mac for any Final Cut Pro cutters, Final Cut Pro users, whatever. And it's really efficient on a Mac, ProRes. But now to have that in a RAW format and have that latitude within your color, am I doing this right?
Yeah.
So far I'm right. To have that, to basically be able to run RAW files really efficiently on a regular, you still want to have a beefy machine,
right.
But from the sound of it, it sounds like your 8 gigabyte iMac will probably manage okay.
It'll play back.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in the RAW space right now unless you have a supercomputer that can play back 4.6K Cinema DNG RAW in real time for editing really effectively. I don't think. I've got an iMac Pro with 10 cores, 32 gigs of RAM, the highest end video card.
It's hardcore.
And it's pretty hardcore.
It's 10 core.
It's but it can't play that back smoothly enough to really edit it. And so that workflow, working with raw footage, has always been a really heavy workflow. Like you had to bring it in, you had to render it out, then you could cut it, or you could render out proxies and then bring in the cinema, however you wanted to do it. But it was heavy and time consuming.
Right.
And now with ProRes RAW, you should be able to just play it back along with all of your other ProRes footage and just cut it right in. And the first manufacturer to actually support ProRes RAW in terms of recording is Atomos.
Atomos, yep.
So their recorders, they're higher end recorders. So it's going to be the Sumo and the Shogun Inferno are capable. They actually also, while we're on the topic, if it's okay, the Ninja 5.
Yeah. Looks really cool.
Yeah.
And they're saying it's got the guts. There might be upgrades coming that it can do some really cool stuff and add in like an SDI input and stuff.
So interesting things there. So right now it's HDMI input only, and there aren't any cameras that output RAW via HDMI. But perhaps there's an adapter you could do to get HD or SDI in, or if somebody on the camera front does come up with a way to do that, then potentially this could read that as well. In any case, it's a much smaller monitor. What I really like about it, metal case.
Yeah.
So
it seems really burly. Like you could, even the old Ninja 2 was pretty, but this one literally you could drop it on concrete floor. It looks like, I'm not suggesting that anyone did do that.
Yeah.
But
it's actually, for me, it's kind of like going back to that really good build quality.
Yeah. The one other theme, because it seems like every year, this is the only second year I've been, but last year it was like, everyone makes a gimbal now, you know what I mean?
Right.
And this year it was the Teradek style gear.
Wireless transmitters.
Like alternatives, half the price, twice the range, and you don't know until you get them out in the field, but there is a lot of those.
Yeah, and that's actually good because those are, I don't wish any ill will to Teradek, but those are ridiculously expensive, and they've done a lot of R&D to get there, and now a bunch of other companies are coming in and finding a way to do it for less expensive. Hopefully, who knows? Who knows if they're the same quality?
I must have seen like 6 different versions of that.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yep. And that came in handy on a recent shoot for you, right?
Oh yeah, it's awesome to have, especially when you're directing and there's action. I have to sit, like we have a camera off a car.
Yeah.
I just get to sit there in the front with the walkie. Go ahead and frame it up a little bit. It's like awesome. It's great. It's magic.
On the audio front, if we can kind of divert there and go back to Nerd Talk for a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
There were a couple things on that front. Again, audio limited, I won't cover that again. But then also, Sanken has a new microphone, shotgun microphone, 4 inches long, almost weighs nothing, sounds pretty amazing.
It was impressive. I did not expect it to sound that good.
Yeah.
So kudos to them.
Also on the audio front, Sound Devices, we went and stopped by.
Yeah, Sound Devices made a really cool thing. Is it a field recorder, or is it just like a field recorder for musicians, or could it be both? It's hard to say what exactly it is.
Yeah.
But it's basically like the Mix Pre 10. But you can it works like it's like a little box, but it's like a DAW, like a digital audio workstation for music. So you could multi-track, you can punch in, punch out, you can mix down, bounce down, and then you can export all the WAV files, and then when you go into Pro Tools or Logic or whatever it is you use, you have all this like great audio through their those Cashmere preamps, which are great preamps.
Right.
I can't imagine that not being a common thing for bands that are like on the road to have in the van or in the tour bus or whatever, for writing and getting ideas down. It was a really cool tool. And just coming from the music background, I was like, man, that would have been a really cool tool 5 years ago when that was my life. So.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's not exactly film related directly, but you got to do that interview instead with Paul Isaacs, which was cool.
Yeah, that was So because of that specific product, Curtis made me get on camera and hold the microphone like this. And I was like, I'm gonna do it with my hands.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
That's NAB 2018 coverage from FilmTalk with the Judd brothers.
See you later.
See ya.
Oh, you didn't hit record. Just kidding.